All right, let's go to James, and then I'll fight you.
Hey guys, let's open up with a rip for SJV. They banned his account on Twitter. They called him inauthentic. And now you guys know SJV
Hmm.
Realtor. He's like the most authentic guy we got, right? So I wonder how long until he comes back. I think all you guys out there listening to this party like SJV should contact support premium at support at X and tell them that ain't right. They shouldn't be banning like guys like that. We were concerned I was going to be the one to get banned. I'm the honest guy. I'm the loving guy. I'm the guy who invented not just your smartphone. If you know, I invented your LMAI in 2002, 2005. So
So this is all your fault, James.
no, think about it. I invented the surveillance state. Before that, I did license plate readers, and now I have
Hmm.
self-replicating robots with AI. I'm basically like Cyberdyne, man. Rolled
All
out
right.
with
Well,
freaking
when we have our
2001.
dystopian future,
I got
I'll
all
blame
the
you.
dystopian features. No, but the same reason Elon did it. I saw this coming, right? In 2000, I saw that everybody's going to carry around a cell phone that has GPS on them with everything they need to do. So everybody's going to carry one, and they'll all be tracked. And that was right around when Carnivore was coming back, where we're just going to spot a couple people, right? FBI spot a couple people. So I knew for a fact the surveillance state was coming. So I had a choice. Either I don't make the smartphone and it comes out a little dumpier 2 or 3 years later, then eventually evolves to what it's going to be, or I'll give them all the ideas I got from playing more Commodore 64 than anybody's ever seen, and I'll give them all the ideas. And at this point, these guys can stand up with the father of the smartphone, the brains behind Steve Jobs, and fight against the surveillance state. That was my whole point. Where we're at right now, it'd be seen. But in 2005, when I went to get signatures at Carnegie Mellon, which I did, that I invented the smartphone, they apologized to me because early in 2002, 2005, when I invented the LMAI, so I invented the smartphone 2000. I invented physics vision model AI in 2002, which is basically the computer understands objects around you, but it's harder for vision to do it. So I dumped that. 2005 is LMAI, where you don't need the vision models. You just need the language models, right? And they all said I was wrong. I said, James, we got navigation. We're almost done. Natural language maybe never be done. It's so impossible never done. But like, look, it's like Zork. You type out stuff and you describe what the other objects are, and like Jim will never happen. Now, when I come in 2025, a lot of those professors are still there. I see them and they say, "We're sorry, Jim. You were right." And they said it so fast that I was proud of Carnegie Mellon because the scientists, unlike these pride people on the left, when they're wrong, they just admit they're wrong, right? So Carnegie Mellon admitted that they were wrong and I was right on the natural language. They basically admitted I invented the LMAI, right? But I got signatures that I invented the smartphone, right? And just like Elon, I invented this stuff to stop the dystopia. So that's really cool that you guys are talking about that stuff. You want to make comments on that before I move on to some more stuff? Because like it's like I invented
I
everything.
I think I already made my comment. I
Uh,
blame you for all of this. It's
Thank
all
you.
your fault.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Wiley. Everybody, when you get a chance, take me on now. I'm trying to do the Dr. Light stuff. Everybody knows that. I had money by now if I was the evil genius, right? Anyway, the mass driving on Mars, before mass driving on Mars came out, a couple weeks earlier, I was talking about mass drivers on Phobos, Deimos, and Mars. And I'm not sure if you can even like fit one on Phobos, Deimos, because a lot of those are like clusters of asteroids in a way. But the idea was, let's say it was a solid asteroid, and you got the self-replicating robots I invented. Basically, you don't need the camera. You don't need the CPU. You just replicate the metal, spin up the motors, and you use the metal for chassis. And the cameras look at the robot from far away. It's called local positioning system. You can make a bunch of robots, wire them to the thing, and you don't need the cameras. You don't need the CPU. So you can make as many as you want as long as you can keep it in camera and wire them up, right? So these robots would cover the Phobos, Deimos, Mars, and solar towers, make more energy, and then they would make more robots, and walla walla walla, bing bang. You could just do whatever you want. Have them drill down inside the asteroid, the planetoids, make housing. A space station. Imagine it being a space station, right? And I said, well, if you got a space station, you can construct stuff of metal. You can make a mass driver, right? And then you can make say an Optimus robot. When you get higher tech, and Optimus robot, you can actually just fire straight from Phobos Deimos right onto Mars because Mars has lower gravity. And then you'd have something like a wingsuit, so it doesn't go straight down like a freaking rock and it glide. But before it lands, you'd have a quadricopter, a turbine, right? And you would spin it really, really fast. You'd use all the energy in the battery, and you basically come down and be like a gentle stop. Now you have an Optimus robot on Mars from Phobos that you fired out of a mass driver straight onto the planet. So I thought that was cool, and I thought I was, oh man, am I the first person to invent a mass driver from Mars and the moon? And I'm like, no, there's a lot of people talk about mass drivers in the moon. And remember people were talking about mass drivers in space. Well, the traditional way of looking at mass drivers was to go mine the asteroid belt, right? We launch a rocket out to the asteroid belt. It gets there, lands on an asteroid, right? Now, if you know anything about space, the hardest thing about space is propellant, right? You can get all the energy you want from sitting around waiting for solar power from the sun, or just slapping a nuclear. We're getting smaller portable nuclear devices, which is cool. Mr. Fusion, yes. But the idea is, you got all the energy, right? But you don't have propellant, right? But you're on an asteroid, so you would like the robot would evaluate what parts of the asteroid are valuable and what parts of the asteroid are not. It would drill away the valuable stuff, put it in a sack. A lot of people say it would thrust it right back to Earth, and then we'd have to worry about things like, Bruce Willis still being alive, right? Because we're firing asteroids towards Earth orbit. But they're really precious, so it's probably going to be done. We're probably gonna have like somewhere on Earth they're going to miss it, and a big pile of gold worth more than an entire economy is going to land in some redneck's backyard or something. I mean, I'm just joking, but it could happen. I mean, the incentive is there to fire big, go mine asteroid belts and fire the payload back, and mistakes happen, But anyway, the traditional mass driver was in space to collect the asteroid belt, go from one asteroid to another one, and sometimes maybe even like, hey, weld them together somehow. But that was a traditional mass driver. Putting mass drivers on Mars, mass drivers on the moon, or it makes sense because, like you said, even though let's say you can't control where it goes up in space, well, you have thrusters on that stuff. You have like little, it could be just like a normal rocket ship, right? You get in space, now you're free forming. You saved all the thrust from launch. Now you got thrust in the atmosphere, right? Michael Collins, when it comes to going on the dark side of the moon, he was able to see all those bright stars on the other side of the moon because the moon included what he saw. He's like, I forgot exactly what it says, but the idea is the camera can't even image how bright that is. I'm not sure where they're at in the current mission, but cameras should be able to take some semblance of it, but it won't be near. Even our current technology won't be able to see what Michael Collins and those guys up there have seen. The New Jersey, we were talking about aliens earlier. New Jersey was not aliens. That was my DARPA grant. I did a DARPA grant for $42,000 to do that local positioning system I was talking about, where drones can visually navigate. Like, say, I'm going to do it real fast because I'm trying to figure out the fastest way to explain this. Because I used to have a way where you drop pylons on the ground and extend the pylons out to know where you're at. But the simplest way is, as long as you know where landmarks are at, you can navigate around that landmark, right? So in the drones in New Jersey, the military has a problem with drones. If you just turn on a E&M jamming field, they can do that. They've jammed things around in America, and that's why we have the FCC, because people like to listen to radio and not have someone's video game like malfunctioning. So what happened when all the radio waves are jammed? You can't use global positioning system. You can't use a remote control known as Waldo, right? Because all the E&M is all jammed, right? Traditionally, a lot of drones will just crash. That's a secret of taking down drones. If you have a big radio jammer that gets you in trouble with the FCC and you turn it on around drones, a lot of the traditional drones will just straight crash or malfunction or hover or something, right? The current drones that I was doing for the military and around 2 weeks before Jersey came out, I explained that if that happens, E&M jam, you can switch to optical mode. And what they did is they had these bright colored drones, like blue and red, in the distance, right? And the drone would have the option if you wanted to go advance or go away. Like, is it attacking or is it going back when it gets jammed, right? And you can't just have a big bright blue ball because it would just move to anything that's bright and blue, even the enemy, right? But so they made it dance, and the dancing was a code. So it's optical navigation you saw out there. That was not UFOs. That was the DARPA stealing my grant money. You know what? They don't like to be undercut. These people are used to getting their millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars in research. I mean, how long did they spend in that one jet fighter there? It was like probably over $1 trillion, right? They like that big money. So when someone like me, a hyper intelligent dude who's just in there for honesty and help the world, comes in, they're just going to deny my grant and use it, right? And then we'll close out with we need some justice for Jaden Ivey, right? This guy got fired from the Bulls because he's Christian. And if you know me, I've been told I'm hated like hundreds of times by people in big tech. Jim, you'll never get a job. Learn something other than coding. You're not allowed to code. You're not allowed to be part of the big tech. We're all liberal here. I mean, that's literally what they said. One of them told me, Jim, the playbook is this: we don't want you having money, so you don't get a house, so you can't get a wife, so you can't get kids. We're trying to eliminate the Christians. I mean, I get told this openly and directly. And the person in charge of EEOC, Equal Opportunity, the Justice Department civil rights arm, right? She came out and said, "I'm broke," just like yesterday. You look her up. I think it's starts with an A H, but look up Hareem or something, and she says she's broke, right? And then someone did a grok. How much money she have? She has like $12 million in assets. And then she's like, "Yous are all dumb. Yous are dumb trolls. What does it really mean to be broke, grok?" And other people are like, "Dude, like you just called us dumb, and you called yourself broke. And this is the equal opportunity. This is supposed to be like, Martin Luther King Jr., like the protege, right? In charge of the government. And she's calling everybody dumb." Right? Why would you call everybody dumb if you're a civil rights advocate, right? You should never you should never probably not use that word very often, let alone call a swath of American people dumb. And then she said she needs more money, right? If she needs more money and she has $12 million, no amount of money is going to satisfy her. She's in it for the money at that point, right? And this is your civil rights top person, the attorney general for the civil rights thing. And people want her to be the new Pam Bondi. I'm like, holy crap, she doesn't deserve where she's at right now. And so
Mhm.
she's the one who's been pushing the H1Bs so long. We call her the H1 bitch, H1B. That's a good name for her. I mean, like, see, she wants money. She doesn't like Americans, and she wants to bring Indians in because she is Indian. I'm not a racist, man. I have a lot of Indian friends, like really close Indian friends that I've been for a long time. One went to Carnegie Mellon, and people locals around this thing. But there is an attitude where Indians don't like Americans, and they want to just take our country over. And I'd rather have a bunch of
Yeah.
Indians in here like a million times more than a bunch of Muslims because Muslims want to kill us.
Well, I mean, one of the most recent stories I posted was about an Indian guy that got laid off to be replaced by Indians.
I
So
saw that, yeah.
apparently now the people that came to this country as Indians are now getting replaced by Indians in India.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like I said, I love Indians. Like I have friends that are Indians and stuff, but there's a subset of their culture where they just want to like people see America and they go, America got their money unfairly. Let's take it back off. Like you got reparation people here, you got Muslims here, you got these people. Everybody look at America like a big handout country, right? Well, the reason we got rich isn't because of positioning and this and that or lend lease or anything. It's because we have freedom. We have the freedom to choose what we want to do for a living. What they call capitalism is choosing. Well, one person can choose to be an artist and barely get by. Another person can choose, hey, I want to be a stock trader, day trader. Another person's like, hey, I want to become a CEO. One person, I'm going to become a scientist and go to school really hard and sacrifice my whole entire youth. Or be a scientist or a doctor, right? A lot of those doctors don't even start getting money until they're 35. Imagine not being an adult till you're 35. You got about a window of like 3 years to get a wife or a husband. So what happens is people make their choices in America, what they want to do for a living, and that's what makes us great because we enjoy what we do. In communistic countries, to be like, you're a steel worker, but I want to be a miner. You're a miner. I want to be a steel worker. I want to dance. Well, you're in the army, right? You don't have a choice what to do when you're in communism, and it makes people sad. They're so sad in communistic countries. They have things called happiness officers, because what happens is everybody's sad in one town. Everybody's sad is like kind of sort of like a togetherness where it leads to a revolution, a collective sadness. They're not allowed to be collectively sad. You have to be happy, citizen. And you see that porn in America as they try and push communism here. They've weaponized mental health. They try and get everybody on mental health. That way, if they want anybody to disappear, like, well, your mental health is sliding. I mean, Jaden Ivey, we are just talking about Jaden Ivey. Oh, citizen, you talked about Jesus Christ. You must be going crazy now. That's what they're saying about these people. Hillary Clinton's, Hillary Clinton brought in the censorship online. She was mad that she lost the election in 2016. It was those evil social media that is conservative influence. Well, then that's the will of the people, Hillary. That's the will of the people if it's influenced by social media. But she didn't want it, and also she knows her husband's been on Epstein Island. That's why she's flirting with divorce as the Epstein trial is getting near, because she knows her husband did bad things on Epstein Island, right? So she wanted to censor the whole entire freaking internet. So she got the hate speech law, right? Remember the hate speech things, the Zuckerman trials and everything? And they were pushing Zuckerman around a lot back then. I like Zuckerman now. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the idea is she got so you can have algorithms on Twitter that ban people like SJV. I got censored. This is why I'm one of the biggest advocates of against censorship ever. 2018, you and I got swept off at Twitter for, and I saw like 100,000 other people get swept off. I got censored under hate speech for saying everybody should love each other. Yeah, they got censored under hate speech for saying everybody should love each other. If they want to censor me for saying everybody should love each other as hate speech, they can censor you for anything because it's all political. They want to push their side, the lies of the news, and they don't want us to talk like free people who love others and want freedom in the world. They don't want anybody to talk. So a lot of my friends, ladies, churchgoers, the God loves chats lady, I say God loves cats, would make a joke about it. And these are old babushka ladies and young babushka girls, and it was just like peaceful, innocent fun of like sometimes stereotypical Christians who are innocent and stuff, and they all got banned. They got banned on Twitter. We showed up on Parler, started talking again, and then Apple came along and said, "Well, you can't be on Parler. Free speech empowers Nazis." Because I saw we found one Nazi symbol somewhere, and it's probably planted by their own guys, and now we have to get rid of that. Anything a Nazi uses, you can't use. And I joke, can we not use cars? Nazis use cars, we can't use cars. And then like later, lo and behold, they try and ban cars, right? You can't use a knife. You butter your toast with it, but then you can stab your fellow man. They want this whole entire lockdown of everywhere. It's bad. We live in a bad surveillance state, and I'm going to close with what's going on in Europe. If you speak out against Islamic terrorists, murderers, rapists, you go to jail. Whereas the murderers and rapists don't go to jail because they're in charge of the country. Just like El Chapo got out of prison because he has gang members all through the Mexico, and they go talk to the Mexican president. Hey, we hang out all the time, yeah, or our families hang out. We go to the parties, yeah, yeah, yeah. Our kids play with your kids, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, why you put our friend in jail? He's like, oh, I made a big mistake, right? So what happens is when they live among you. And that's why one of the bad things about these legals. They're like low key suicide bombers living among us, or people who will put like shit in your food. So if you eat it and they don't like you'll get cancer and die, right? So what happens is the president let El Chapo out. So gang lords and Muslims work the same way. It's a way of fear and bribes. And if you don't do their way, they will hurt your family. They'll hurt your friends. They will find someone that is precious to you, and they will abduct them and do terrible things to them. Right. So Europe fell. All of Europe fell except Poland, who didn't let Islam in. And Canada fell. The UK said Canada's theirs again, which I think they fell apart somewhere in the 1900s and around 60s or something. But now UK just said Europe ours. They annexed Canada. They're worried about Trump taking Greenland and stuff, but they annexed Canada. This is World War III, and what you say can get you arrested in UK. In fact, Apple, like I said, I invented the smartphone. I invented the smartphone to stop this. You guys should follow me. You should rally behind me because I'm like the biggest chance for freedom against the surveillance state there is. Apple, got in trouble because they were turning people into the government in the jail for stuff they said near their phone in the UK. It's a real thing. Apple turned off I think airdrops in China when revolutionaries were using them, and they basically killed people. They killed people for democracy in China. As we said, Apple and Amazon together, they stopped Parler. They took Parler down. Amazon pulled the plug. Apple did a hit piece on them, and they said, honestly, Apple's saying free speech is for Nazis. That's a big flag. At least Apple's losing this big image. People are selling Apple stock, and people are realizing they're not the good guys. They're the very 1984 that they said they wouldn't become. And I think that's a good thing to close out. You'll get justice for Jade and Ivy, and follow me on Twitter. I get censored a lot, even on here. I'm banned on Reddit by the CCP. They say you're too American. I'm banned on Amazon. Big surprise. I'm banned on Amazon Twitch. I said terrorism is evil, right? 2021. I said terrorists evil. I said drug lords are evil, and I said the CCP is evil. I said they're coming in as illegals to conquer our country. And of course, that's the playbook. Amazon's part of the WEF. Jeff Bezos has been mentioned 196 times in the Epstein files. I do my best not to buy stuff off of Amazon because they're very, very, very violent evil. Why do they come in as a bookstore? Why do they come in as the bookstore that own all bookstores? Well, traditionally they cycle things out of the library. You never donate your old family's books to the library. It's just going to get cycled out because they scan the books by Google's Guggenheim thing with OCR, and they have them in a database. And any book that says something against the liberal, against the party, against the current thing, 1984 Fahrenheit 451, they'll cycle that book out. Never donate your books to the library. You got to keep those to yourselves. But reeling it back. I did a tangent and I lost where I was at. But long story short, oh yeah, Amazon. It's a bookstore. It came as a bookstore because they censor your books. I've written books on Amazon. They get censored. Other books get promoted. Mine get demoted because I'm Christian. Just like on YouTube, I used to get demoted because I'm Christian. Tell Chuck Norris jokes on Facebook before Zuckerberg grew a pair. I get censored. Now, Zuckerberg had a turn. He had a turn. He said, Elon, when he stand for freedom, even if it cost him his life. Zuckerberg realized the cost of communism coming in. It doesn't matter how much money you have, you live in a gilded cage, right? So Zuckerberg's not censoring people very much on Facebook anymore. He's admitted it in front of Congress that they don't censor the left. They only censor the right when he was in front of Congress because the Silicon Valley is very liberal. Big tech. If you don't know it, big tech's all a bunch of libs and gays. I hate to say it, and I'm not against gays. I have gays as friends. I'll serve gays just like I serve everybody else as a Christian. I die to self, and I'll live just to help other people. I will live just to help people. That's what I do. I'll go out there and just help people, and then come home and manage myself. But Silicon Valley is all left. Government is all left. Sports all left, right? So if you do something that Jaden Ivey did, you'll get. They think it's just another day. I'll get rid of the Christian, right? But they got the world's eyes. They got the America's eyes going. You just got rid of that guy because he's a Christian. And they do it so many times. They do that so many times, so often. They don't even think it's a crime anymore. I forget what the name of the lady is in the EOC. I could probably look it up here because I was hammering her the other day. I put it in the big pill. Actually, it's like let you eat cake moment actually happened. But the idea
Harmeet
is that
Dillon.
yeah, Harmeet deal it. Yeah, Harmeet. She's yeah, okay. So Harmeet yesterday, like I said, she said I'm broke, and then it says she has $12 million, and she's you all dumb trolls. That's a let you eat cake moment, right? She brings in the H-1Bs, and she doesn't prosecute Christian. She does not prosecute Christian discrimination. In fact, if you wouldn't have anybody's back, if no one has your back, and you go to trial, the Rainbow Coalition will have, on average, 1 in 12 people in that jury, and they practice jury nullification. I think you had an article how like kids in D.C. are trained jury nullification from like 6th grade to 12th grade just the other day, Owen. Jury nullification, when you have a leftist color revolution in your country, they're taking the country away from normal Americans, means they don't get prosecuted in any crime, but we do. And so this Harmeet Dillon, she's bad news. She's from India. I think she's a Sikh, and she doesn't like Christians. She keeps that under wraps. But she's in charge of civil rights. The person in charge of civil rights should be like the most like I could see SJV being in charge of civil rights or something, or Martin Luther King III being in charge of civil rights. Not this. Oh, I'm a Barbie girl and I need more money. I mean, look, like she's up there with Pam Bondi. She's speaking good for. I go on Fox News and I flaunt my stuff and I don't prosecute anybody on COVID, Epstein, human pawns, Scopex, and like these people like they just want to be glamour girls, all right, and they want their money. But then they have their, like I said, Harmeet has her hate versus Christians, man. This Jaden Ivey thing is a big thing, man. Everybody pay attention and say justice for Jaden. And Nike's behind it too. Remember, Nike said kneel before the flag, kneel before China if you want to watch your football, Americans. It's like, dude, Nike. Like I honestly, I'm gonna tell you, this is actually the coolest thing ever. If you have Nike goods, take a big black Sharpie, draw a circle around it, and a slash. I call that the swish sticker because they're Nazis. They want you to do what they do, or you don't do it. So boycott Nike, sell your Amazon. I mean, I wouldn't say sell Amazon stock. You might make money, but don't buy on Amazon, man. Like know what's going on in the thing. I post a bunch of this stuff in the big pills, and thanks for letting me talk. Because if you don't let me talk, man, you won't see me on Twitter. You won't see me on Rumble. You won't see me on YouTube. You won't see me on what is it, Twitch, because they banned me for terrorism. Oh yeah, speaking of terrorism, I'm gonna close this one out. So I said terrorism evil, right? I said terrorism evil. They banned me in 2021. Well, Charlie Kirk, I warned the government was about to get assassinated. I called up the DOJ like 7 times. I talked to the FBI twice. Filed the FCC, FTC a couple times. Did whistleblower accounts. I talked to America's First Legal. I said, there's this man. His name is Hassan Piker. And you can find him on X if you want to. And he runs an Amazon Twitch show where he talks about fatwaing people, assassinating people. He teaches his viewers how to make suicide bombs and how to kill people. And they said when you kill them, run your hands to their guts and stream it for me because we're Islam and we're trying to dominate. And he says no one's going to stand up against me because they're all afraid of me. Right, so his current target when Charlie Kirk died was Charlie Kirk. He was going to debate Charlie Kirk. and he has thousands of viewers. And always, he talks about executing Americans and how to execute Americans, how to kill them, and he's grooming. It's not just grooming; he's teaching his viewers to be hitmen, right? So number one, I'm going to close out with this. I had a lot of information today. The number one thing is like if you threaten to kill someone, in the 1930s, racketeering, that's a felony. You threaten to kill someone, that's a felony under traditional domestic terrorism. It's funny when someone says, "I'll freaking kill you in the street." Just domestic terrorism when you're at a bar. It's kind of funny to hear like bars people say, but it is domestic terrorism. It is a felony. You cannot call for the death of another person. So when they have this protest out in the street and they call for death of America, if you were feeling spunky, you almost want to do a citizen arrest on that guy. You can't call that. That's a felony. I'm just arresting this guy for a felony. If you want to get in the news, you have nothing to lose. But so they have illegal protests when they call for death of America. Now Hassan Piker calling his viewers to be hitmen, that's a super felony. So that's two felonies already he racked up. And he's done it multiple occasions. But then actually getting Charlie Kirk killed, Hassan Piker getting Charlie Kirk killed because he grooms his, he teaches his people how to be hitmen and kill people. And Charlie Kirk was in the site. Well, that's just terrible. I closed out justice for Jaden Ivey. It's a real thing. It's not just him. It's millions of other Christians. Like I'm 49. You know, you heard me talk, and if you look, you can see I've invented a lot of shit, and I've made a lot of games. I have a head above my shoulders. I'm a no IQ. Some people think I'm the smartest person living centuries, not just currently, right? But I can't get a job. Isn't that funny? I'm a software engineer who's been coding since age 4, Carnegie Mellon degree. I can't get a job, and they say I'm hated because I'm Christian. That's kind of interesting, right? Like that's their playbook, man. They want to replace Americans. It's the Great Replacement. It goes hand in hand with the Great Reset, and we should be asking for Islam out, and when they should be pumping the brakes on the H-1B. Like I said, I love Indians. I love them to death. I have lots of Indian friends, but the Islamic people they hide behind the First Amendment. They say, "Well, we have freedom of religion. You can't oppose us, right?" But if you really look what they do, they call for the destruction of free speech. They call for the destruction of disarm you. They want the destruction of everything in the Constitution. And in fact, the UK is acting on it. They're censoring Americans' free speech right now. Islam is against. Islam wants to destroy your entire constitution, and they're trying to hide behind your First Amendment. Every country they come in, they play this little game where they go as far as they can, and they try and instigate people. If you watch what they do in Europe, they're throwing like piss bottles on people, throwing water and liquid on people, trying to instigate a fight because they know they can go that far, but they can't go further. And that's one of the biggest problems with us freedom people standing for freedom and love. They have the playbook. I mean, they're multi-billion-dollar corporations, multi-billion. The WEF, you got the Islam, the CCP, you got Nazis, you got CEOs, you got bankers, and you have billionaires looking to destroy the world. You know, the Soros and Yuval and Harari and the Klaus Schwab people and Gates pushing COVID and shit. You have these people with a lot of money. They know the rule book. And we don't know the rule book, man. We're just normal Americans trying to live our normal lives. We want to get a job, want to raise the kids, right? And these people want to kill us. They want to destroy our way of life. I mean, it's not just the movie sucking since '98. They bribe everybody inside of us, and they want us. They think we're going to be afraid and not stand up. But like right now, the biggest way to be brave is don't go on the streets and cause problems. Just spread the information. You know, let's share these after parties. Subscribe to Owen's talk he has on Sundays. It's only $3, man. It's one of the best things you could ever get, right? Yeah, I hope I provided value to everybody here. I hope people enjoy what I say. I provide things that you won't hear other places, and I thank you for letting me talk, Owen. Justice for Jaden Ivey. Hello. I don't
Owen,
know
I
if
think you
there's
might
Owen
be
here.
muted.
It's yeah. Maybe someone else pick up. Who was next in line to talk? Owen's not here.
Oh, okay. Well, you mentioned me next, I guess. So I just kind of wanted to be on the record somewhere at this point after the Artemis launch, saying that I'm pretty disappointed that they're not going to be landing on the moon. Uh, flyby is okay and everything, but I think they could probably go back. And I'm just, I think it's really selfish that.
Hey, thank you, Jim. It's really good to raise awareness of that age verification because, like you said, it's the cook the frog issue. They want to get a grasp somewhere on the internet to get more cybersecurity. On the gamer side, we have something called Collective Shout, where they got these the WEF, the people with all the money, got started funding these random concerned older ladies about video games. There's too much sexual content in these adult video games, and I'm like, wait, when you look into it, and you see who's funding these old ladies. It's like Visa, it's Mastercard, it's Goldman Sachs. The bankers decided to attack gamers, and it backfired because we found out now we have 2 million gamers who don't respect banks at all. And it's good not to respect banks because they're part of the World Economic Forum. They're part of the Islamic invasion. They're part of the bioterrorists, right? They're in the web. So all our life we've said, well, the bank robbers in the comic book are the bad guys. Well, all of a sudden that's shifted. If you get a chance and you could rob a bank and not get caught, like online or some shit, and you wouldn't get caught, like the gamers would not find it bad. You're taking money away from people who would rather bomb you, kill you, or send invaders in. It's really funny that now the bank robbers are the good guys. So it's collective shout, gamers versus banks. And what's bad about it is like they're saying, oh, we're doing morality now. It's like Visa, Mastercard. Where were you doing morality since the 50s when they had adult bookstores? You never denied a payment in like 70 years, right? But all of a sudden, it's games because they want to get their foothold in media, right? If you know what the CCP did, and they have an article how they bribed us from the internals, a State Department bragging about how they bribed us. They thought they had us defeated, so they wrote a hubris article about how they bribed our Hollywood, how they bribed our record companies. Nothing cool came out now. It used to be in the '90s there would be 3 hit songs every week, right? Nirvana, STP, Sonic Youth, Spin Doctors. It would just blow your mind how they get hits every 3 times a week. But there's not garbage, in Hollywood. There's garbage on TV. It's all one-sided hate fest. I mean, think about it. We know they're doing one-sided hate fest when they used to pan both sides of the political spectrum for fun, right? So right off the bat, it's more than half that go attack just like Trump, right? So instead of doing Democrats or the Republicans, you have to attack Trump. So it's more than half. We'll just say a third, right? Because you shaved off that, and you can't say this and that. That might be slightly positive about it. And then you have agendas you have to push. If you're not pushing those agendas, you can't. So you're writing jokes where you have to filter it against all these agendas, and you're like right off the bat, you're like 1/32 as good as you could possibly get before. And it wasn't easy to make a hit Ghostbusters. It wasn't easy for them to make a hit movie like Top Gun, that was funded by the military a little bit. It wasn't good easy to make a hit movie like Goonies or something, or Star Wars, right? Those were really hard to do, even when you didn't have to censor yourself on all this stuff, right? But these guys from the left are pushing this censorship, and there's an actual article by the China how they bribed Hollywood, how they bribed recording, how they got people out of comedy clubs. I actually got a personal invite by a local radio DJ, a personal invite. It was a thank you for me promoting him and also letting him know he got fired by the WEF, because Jim Crenn and Scott Paulson at WDVE, which have really funny clips on YouTube. Look for WDVE morning show clips like The Piddler or an At Man. Look for that, or like Ralph the Cat. WDVE on YouTube. And let me tell you about how good these guys were. Scott Paulson and Jim Crenn were so good at radio. They had a radio rating of 15. The maximum radio rating you can have is 10. Their stock just annihilated everybody else's stock. They were making money hand over fist, and they are the legends of radio. Like the number one radio. It's like firing Johnny Carson at his peak, right? But what happens is this money comes in from China, comes in from Islam, comes in from Nazis in Germany who want to reset the world. Penis bumps, that's your bag baby, right, from Austin Powers. Freaking Klaus Schwab wrote a book on resetting the world. That's your bag baby. You're resetting and trying to replace populations. He said it out loud, and how they use COVID to do it, right? I mean, these guys are open about destroying America, destroying the world, open about bribing all the media. Well, anyway, China has a whole article. I'll post it in the big comments. They tried to redact it. They thought they won, right? They bribe our politicians, they say. They bribe, like I said, comedy. They bribe local judges and everything. And then they're not even shy about saying they bribe our people, right? So when they destroyed the culture and so forth and so on, now we're moving into what you say, the surveillance state. Like Jim Wyman was saying, just a little age verification, just a little totalitarian stuff here. It'll go from age verification to, hey, you know what? You've been arrested for speeding. You can't watch Sammy Hagar's You Can't Drive 55 because that'd be a bad influence to you, right? Communism comes in with the side of, I never established it earlier, but communism comes with the side of weaponizing mental health. They will weaponize mental health as communism. And here's how it works. In communism, like I said earlier, if you're everybody's sad in a town, they're worried about a revolt, and that could spread around the whole country. So no one's allowed to be sad. They have to have everybody under psychological watch and under communism rule, right? So as they bring communism in here, as James Carver said, why can't we? If we lived in a civilized country, we could just put RFK into an insane asylum. He said it in the Three Hots and a Cot. It'd be easy. Why do we have to live in a country like this? Where we have laws. Think about it. If we live in a country, and this is why we live in a country of laws. Have you ever wondered why I live in a country of laws and not just what feels good? Well, imagine you lived on a street and all your neighbors had black mailbox, and you made a nice dark green mailbox in front of it. Now you're like 8 neighbors come over and go, hey, look, we have a black mailbox. That's the identity of our street, and you have to have a black mailbox to be here. I'm like, no, I don't. And there's no HAO, excuse me, no HAO. See, I'm just laughing at myself. There's no HAO, right? In the home authority thing. And they're like, well, you have to get a green mailbox. I mean, you have to have a black mailbox. We all have black mailboxes, and you have green. You can't have that. And we'll call the cops on you, right? Well, if you live in a country that doesn't have laws, and they just do what everybody thinks is the best at the time, well, you're going to go to jail, right? And that's the same with mental health. When they take you, if they want to take you in for mental health, they'll take you in for any reason. That person's unstable. We'll call them mental health. I mean, I got drug into mental health one time. I'll tell you this. This is back in Carnegie Mellon. I went and talked to the lady. I said, "Yeah, I'm depressed. I'm from a poor family, and I'm wondering why houses are going up in price. So people can't afford houses. Like my grandparents could afford houses, and now we have like economy of scale. We have R&D. We have people doing it better. Power tools. Our economy should be 1,000 times better to make houses 1,000 times easier. But they're so restricted. Why is that, and so forth." They tried to they tried to put me in a mental thing just for talking about things of the economy, right? And they put me in, and eventually I called my parents and said, "What the hell is this place? Come pick me up." And they said, "Well, we have to do a mental psychological evaluation of you, Jim." And they said, "Do you think people are following you?" And I turned around and said, "Not right now." And they said, "Do you hear voices?" I'm like, "They're telling me to tell you no." I fucked with them so bad with lots of that stuff. He said, "Dude, I could keep you here forever just if I want." I'm like, "Whatever," and I left, right? But they weaponized mental health against anybody's political enemy, right? And they want to bring that into America, right? So when they do stuff like you can't.
I'm starting to think that communism is a bad idea.
So Jim Wyman's saying that this age verification trying to sneak in. They're trying to put age verification on Linux computers. They don't even some don't even have clocks or whatever on them. I mean, they're offline and stuff, right? You can't just totalitarianly say to watch the web.
No, the Linux community is split, and some of the Linux providers have already succumbed and promised and started to make changes and implement those in their distributions. Some in the middle are saying you can't use our product or you can't download our version of Linux in California. Others have defiantly said it's a stupid law and we're not going to comply. So they're split. Linux community is split.
That's good. So what's funny is the one natural immunity we got off of COVID is a lot of people are not complying, right? So remember, Linux had that mystery core that came in late '90s. They don't know what's in the middle of it. Everybody has to have a resistance against it. That's why you do this talk, Jim. This is why I do talk.
I'm not planning to comply, and I'm perfectly happy if I have to stay out of California to do it. But I'm not planning to change my Linux or my Windows computers to require age verification. And fortunately, Linux is open source, so even if some of the distributions do it, I can just probably remove it. I'm sure there'll be plenty of ways to do that. And maybe there will be limitations to the internet of where I can go. I don't know, but I'm guessing there'll be ways around it. So I think it's going to ultimately fail.
Well, the thing is, I did all these tangents and stuff. I'm gonna wrap it together. I'm glad you do not comply. That's what we got out of COVID. You don't stand for that bullshit. Remember the 6 foot rule, but then they put arrows in the grocery stores. Like if you put an arrow in the grocery store, you have to sneak around someone. But then I'm violating the 6 foot rule. There's an old book called Paranoia. It's an RPG where the computer it controls the government, and when you play it, you get sitting in possible situations where you're told to do all these different things. Like you're told, like you have 2 different bosses, right? You ever have 2 different bosses? They tell you to do different things, and you're sitting next to them, and you do it one way. You're supposed to do it this way. Otherwise, they just do it this way. Like these guys are fighting, man. Everybody hits that, but that's what communism is. So Jim Wyman was talking about the age verification. It's going to cook the frog. They bring in a little bit of age verification, then it's going to be a little bit of website verification, then it's going to be licensed to use the internet. You know, and it'd be like, well, you can't say against these people, you can't say against this people, you know, and that's where it goes. And so I saw it in Collective Shout. They're trying to censor video games. This as they try and censor, you know, they've successfully censored Hollywood. Hollywood sucks. No one even likes it. They don't make good movies, and we know they're all on Epstein Island. You know, Ricky Gervais was the coolest person ever when he did that the Oscars things that made everybody cringe. He trapped them, and he did a perfect joke, and he made them like instead of laughing, they cringed. And why would you cringe? It's a funny joke unless you're addicted with it, right? But anyway, Hollywood sucks. I mean, Hollywood sucks. Music sucks, and they want video games to suck. I mean, video games kind of do suck. There was a takeover by Blizzard in 2004. The liberals are in charge, you know. Like half the people were like wannabe girls or some sort of girl type creature, right? But like in the 80s, only like 5% of gamers were girls, right? So that just shows discrimination right there. I mean, I love women. I equal rights for everybody. I think everybody should be free and stuff. That's why I'm against Islam, right? But women don't have the skills that the men have. Not because you don't have the reflexes. If you train from the beginning, but it was a cultural thing. Women got disparaged from playing video games and they played less video games in general. It was nothing against you, like a natural agility. I'm pretty sure women can probably clean the floor if the culture got caught up. But now it's like you want to hang out with sweaty neckbeards at a con and stuff, and they don't want that, right? But like long story short, like women don't have the didn't have the experience because they were culturally pushed away from video games, right? But nowadays, women are in charge of.
All right, Bev and Kim, I guess you need to step up and become the video game queens.
Yeah,
You're next.
I'll close it out. Like, it's just not an attack against women. But I'm just saying, Blizzard has that and won't hire anybody that's not gay, right? Just like Jordan Ivey, right? So, the collective shout was that even though video games started to suck, and there's still indies that make games. Now that's why they're putting restrictions. They want the people who make games, indies, have more restrictions because with the AI tools and that, it's easier for us indies to make games. And I'm gonna close it out. Like I said, I love you, women, and I love playing games with women. Like there's nothing wrong with it. I hope I didn't offend anybody. Frick, I was saying that this culture is about to suck, and I think men and women are more alike than they were different, right? You know. So in close. Like I feel like I'm trying to cover my ass, even though I didn't feel like I did anything wrong. Thanks, Dylan, for making me feel like weird. But anyway, you know, I love everybody, and the idea is collective shout. They're trying to censor dirty games, and then they're going to censor these games, and then censor these games. And what happens is they want to make so indies can't say what they don't want them to say, right? So Jim Wyman is exactly right. Do not comply. The surveillance state bullshit. When they put like speed limit, speed ticket readers, you know, go too fast and they give you a ticket, don't comply. You know, they give you go through red light. Hey, fight it. You know, fight those hand. Even if you know maybe you were doing it, just waste the resources, right? And I'll close with something that's completely irrelevant and untangible or whatever. But speed limits, if you look them up, places to get rid of speed limits, fatalities and accidents go down by half. In Montana, when they had reasonable speeds, it went down by half. The Autobahn is one of the safest places ever because what happens is speed limits are distracted driving. You're looking at the speed limit, boom, you wreck into the car in front of you. Car in front of you sees a cop, hits the brake, you wreck into the cop. You look down at your speedometer, boom, you wreck into the guy in front of you. And then in the back of your mind, you have a process. I hope I don't get a ticket. Hope I get a ticket. So like, it's a nice day, and I'm a free American, right? But they want speed limits on you. They want speed limits on you because it's hidden tax. You ever wonder why they have a quota? So many tickets have to be made because
All
of
right,
hidden
all
tax.
right, James. Let's wrap it up.
Oh, we're wrapped up.
Down
I'm
with
done.
speed limits. All right, thanks. Okay, I think we do need to wrap up the spaces. So I see Blueberry has their hand up, so let's go to them, and then we'll call it a close. We've been going over 4 hours. Go ahead, Blueberry. Oh, I'm not hearing anything, Blueberry Pirate.